Welcome to Insight Builder channel, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. Deep dive into feedback dataset templates in Argilla, response preference templates hands-on. In the last video of this series, we had looked into the overview of the feedback, the purpose of the feedback templates, and also the various kinds of templates that is available inside the feedback dataset. So in the last video, we actually looked into select predictions with higher ratings, etc. for NLI, sentence similarity, and retrieved document rating. In this video, we will concentrate on choosing the response based on the preferences of the application that you're making or the kind of a domain that you're working on. So in order to create such a model, and if you want to do supervised fine-tuning, preference modeling, proximal policy optimization training, or direct preference optimization on your models, then you can use the preference-based templates. So I am not diving into this further. Once you actually create the preference-based rating, you can use this kind of a scenario. So there will be multiple outputs that has been generated by the model to begin with, and out of that the annotators will try to select the preferred output, and that preferred output along with the input will be resent into the model and it will be retrained. So this kind of scenarios we must have already seen in ChatGPT interfaces, right? You must have seen that in a couple of outputs that in the chat.openai.com, there will be two responses by the model. So you will be asked to choose one of the preferences. So it's like that. So there OpenAI actually used the customers itself to choose the preferences, and then they did the update on the OpenAI's GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 models. So that is what we are going to learn, how to do such things inside Argilla server. Fine. So I've given you a very simple overview, because full overview I had given in the earlier video. So take a look at that. Let's go back, and we have been working on these data sets. Now we are going to dive into the supervised fine-tuning data set. So in order to work on the supervised fine-tuning template, you will have to provide the context. So the context is where the prompt along with the context has to be checked, and we need to provide the response also. The annotator will be providing the response based on the prompt and the context. The response can be anything from the explanation that supports the response, or explanation that provides some feedback on the response. It could be any kind of annotation. So let's first of all proceed with this context equal to true. That will create an internal text question in the feedback dataset, and followed by these two fields. When you're going to create the feedback record, just a second, you have to create the fields with the prompt and the context keys that should match with these two things that is there in the fields when we create this feedback dataset. And then you have to add the records to the SFT dataset, and then you have to push it to the Argilla server. So here I have to change it to HF Argilla, and I am going to execute it, and I see there is an error. So let us see, it's saying feedback record is not defined because I did not use the correct import process. Anyway, so let me execute this, and now it will go through, and it will go through to the server. So let us go to the server. Let's go to home, and you'll see that there is a dataset _SFT. And once you go into the dataset _SFT, you will see that it is pending. The dataset that we pushed, the record that we pushed, this is a prompt from the user, context provided to the model during inference. So this is the input that we have given, and the annotator will provide the response here, that the model response is very good, or he or the annotator might say more information also that will help the further fine-tuning. So this is how the supervised fine-tuning happens. Right, this is how the supervised fine-tuning happens. You can provide the annotation guidelines. In this case, I have not provided any guidelines, so it will be empty. Let it load, and in the meantime, if I submit it, this particular response will get submitted, and it will become the part of the dataset. And we will be diving into the steps for extracting these information from the dataset in the later video. So stay tuned for that. I'm just trying to introduce the templates along with the questions, so you guys can understand what's happening. let's go back. Yeah, you can see that this is the settings that you will find under df_sft. If you click on the questions, you can see the response and the UI preview, etc. You can look at the fields, that is the prompt and the context, and you can also get the info. So annotation guideline has been provided here. This has been filled automatically by the template itself. Fine. So this is about the SFT template. So let's go back to the code. Next template that you are going to work on is the for preference modeling. So here again, we'll have to give the context, but there will be two responses. This is very similar to what I explained to you about the OpenAI ChatGPT response, where there were two responses, the response 1 and response 2, right? Similar things you can see it here also. So there will be prompt, context, but there will be two responses. And there will be a ranking question. So here it's not about rating. So we will rank both the response, and we will tell to the further fine-tuning team that okay, the response 1 was given the higher rank, response 2 was given the higher rank or lower rank, whatever it is, and then the fine-tuning will happen appropriately. So we will see this in action. We are going to keep this in mind. We have to give context equal to false. It's not, let's go up. If you see here, it's context equal to true, but in this case, context equal to false. Keep that in mind. And we have to say number of responses equal to 2. So that is a difference. So each and every template will have its own arguments and its own settings. You need to understand how these settings are impacting. So I am not actually diving into their respective settings and providing you all the options, because at the end of the day, you need to understand the application of these settings, not the theory of it. Fine. So that's my idea. I believe that you will like this, and you can actually explore also. I am just giving you the hint, giving you the introduction of these data sets. But once you take this particular notebook and start practicing it, you will come across a lot of challenges as well as lots of interesting stuff that you can learn from. And here you can see that the record has the prompt, but there is no context. But here there is a request for the context, right? But actually we are not providing any context. Then there is response 1 and there is response 2. So these two responses actually come from the model. It's not actually, it can be given as a response from the user also if a user is if an annotator is manually creating this response. But usually this is given from two different models, like for an example, an open source model and a GPT 3.5 model, or two open source models to compare. It can be any kind of pipeline that you are thinking about. I'll be discussing about the pipelines later. So if you have any questions, do leave a comment. I believe that you will have a lot of challenges that you will come across. So do provide your feedback. I will try to provide some updated data, reviews on the dataset. So let's proceed. There is an error in the name here, so I'm going to modify that. And also I need to add the RG here. So those will be the likely errors. And now this excuse me, this preference data set will go through. Yeah, it has gone through. Let us go back and let us go to home. You'll see that ds_pref. In case of ds_pref, you can immediately see that there is prompts, response 1 and response 2, and you'll have the order of responses. How is the preference? So you can actually change the order of responses and the preferences, and you can actually place it like this, and you can submit it. I mean, the UI is splendid, right? Yeah, that is one of the benefits of working with Argilla server. So the UI is pretty intuitive, and if you're going to give it to the third-party annotators, or if you're going to have a team of annotators, then their user experience with the Argilla server will be splendid. That's for sure. Fine. That is done, and let's go back. Let's proceed further. Next, we are going to, there are a couple of other things that I've tried here. You can experiment with these attributes and the methods that you are seeing here, but that will be something that you can do it at your relaxed tutorial. Next, we are going to go for proximal policy optimization. So this template will again have a rating scale, context equal to true. So here the context is again true, not false. So why? You will see that once you start annotating. In this case, there is going to be both prompt and context, and there is going to be a single response, right? And when you're going to create the dataset, you are going to create a prompt along with the context, sorry, the record, not the dataset. So you are going to create it like that. and you are going to push it to the Argilla server. So let's proceed to push it to the Argilla server. Not much of a difference, but apart from this, an additional rating scale has been provided. But you see that there is no any rating question that is created here. So this is a little bit off. So let us see what is there in the output. Let's go back. Let's go to home and let us do a DS PPO. And to our surprise, that we actually expected a text question, right? But we are seeing actually a rating question, and it is actually checking whether the context that has been provided by the model is having a better rating or a worse rating, and you can submit it. So this is a bit of a confusion. If you guys are not aware of PPO, that is proximal policy optimization algorithms, this may not actually make sense. I would actually suggest you guys to take a literature review on those proximal policy optimization and DPO before you try to understand these data sets. But as of now, this is how the rating works, and it's not the text question here. So we should be expecting a text question where in its place we are actually getting a rating question. So the whatever I've shown here is not correct. So that is something that I want to highlight. Fine. This is on proximal policy optimization template, and let's go to the next one. That is the direct preference optimization. So let me clear the cell output. We have for direct preference optimization, the number of responses is 2. We are going to work on preferences, and the context is false, and it is very similar to preference optimization, but the algorithm that runs in the background is a little bit different. I'm not going to dive into the exact details of this, but the process of creating the dataset is similar to what you have seen in the earlier dataset templates. So I'm going to execute this cell by just correcting these mistakes, and then I can push it into the server. So let me do that. And once it is done, it will actually get pushed to the Argilla server. And let us go to the home. You'll see that DS_DPO dataset has been created. And yeah, it took a bit of a time because the front end got populated, but the back end did not. So let us go to the submitted, and you'll see that under DPO, already things have been submitted. So here you can see it's very similar to the proximal policy optimization. I think there is a mistake. Just a minute. So here we have one classic error that you might actually come across. It's telling that the response is telling that record at position 0 is not valid because of the found fields values non-configured fields. So it's saying context is not allowed. So basically I've given the context, but even here you can see that the feedback dataset is telling that it will have a context, but it is actually arriving out. So what in this case we have to do is we have to remove this context. I'm basically commenting it out, and I'm going to again try to push it. So this is one of the challenges that I have been facing with Argilla feedback dataset templates. You can see that now the data set is successfully pushed to the server. Let's go back. Let's see, it's having DS_DPO, and you can go here and you can see it's very similar to the preference optimization, and you can select the responses like this and you can submit it. This actually looks redundant, right? You can use the preference optimization template also, but there are certain nuances that is present in the backend for both of these templates. So as of now, even though it looks similar, try to explore it. You will actually start finding the difference. I am not actually getting into the details because this is an introductory video. Let's go back and let us go to the discussion that we are having. So now with this video, we have seen all these three options: select prediction with higher rating templates, choose response based on preference templates, the review the vector search results templates, and these multimodal templates I'm not right now covering because it will involve both audio and video kind of datasets, and pushing the datasets will involve a separate kind of a pipeline that I don't want you guys to get into at the introductory level. Working with text itself is pretty challenging, so try to work with these things, practice before you actually move to a more complex pipelines that involve audio and video. So we have seen seen these things, and we have seen how you can actually use the responses and train the models in case of supervised fine-tuning, preference modeling, proximal optimization, or direct preference optimization. So these are the various options that is present. And I believe that you have learned a thing or two from this video. Do leave a like and provide your comment in the comment section if you have any questions. Apart from this, do subscribe to my channel for further updates on similar kind of videos. With that said, I would like to leave this video with 4 words, that is practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.